Thanks for letting me host today. Pretty exciting day, huh?
It is, quite a bit. We've been extremely busy.
So the news wires have been blowing up with your information about your latest venture, Roush Fenway Racing, Google+. Big, exciting news. Yeah. So, okay, in reading the articles and listening to this past week where you've been putting out the teasers about big news that's coming, so it's here. So tell us about this new experience that you've got going on.
Well, it's very exciting because we've been working with Roush Fenway Racing for since September, really, because even last year they were, and it's not anything that's not already been published in the news, is that there has been a decrease in fans outside of the actual race on Sunday, and a number of the teams were trying to figure out how do we use Twitter, how do we use Facebook, how do we do something to increase fans. And so a lot of them had been trying different things, but nothing was really resonating. So that's when we had a great opportunity to get with Roush Fenway Racing and their development team up there, and we started talking about, well, what if there were no obstacles? What if there were no rules, and we could do something that would be very, very special for the fan? So if we started with the fan and their experience outside, because your husband is a big race fan,
yeah,
and I'm a big race fan, and so if we could start from the fan and build an experience, what would it be like? Well, just so happened that along came Google+, and that's where our conversation started, and along came some really great ideas, and fast forward, and here we are.
Okay. So the introduction of Google+ to the fan experience.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it is about, because I think some of the things that we're all learning, like we're enjoying this hangout here, this functionality doesn't really exist anywhere else that is this smooth and simple. And like the press release, which I posted for everybody to read in the comments on the post, it mentions a schedule of what we're going to be doing next week, and that's just the minimum. But the platform that we have here on Google+, which is a sharing more than a social network, is extremely unique. And the things that we're going to be doing along with Roush Fenway Racing and helping them, and the drivers, which is the money, those drivers being able to interact with Trevor Bayne and Carl Edwards and Matt and Greg Biffle and Ricky Stenhouse and the whole team and the pit crew and all this stuff, just live, is so unique.
Right.
And it really is. We've already had inquiries from all over the U.S., from other sports teams and writers about, what in the world, this is crazy. So it's cool, very cool.
Okay, so tell me about the working with Google+. You know, we've had the big fanfare with the David Beckham live hangouts, and I mean that was huge. I know that you are familiar with how many actually joined that hangout. The number escapes me, but so explain to me how it was working with Google to get Roush Fenway up and running.
Couldn't be better. You know, we have relationships with Facebook, and we've also worked with Microsoft and Bing, and you know, we love those guys, and it's been a great experience with them. However, working with Google on this project, in fact, we just got off another call with them. I can't say enough about how wonderful it's been to work with them, to help make all of this possible. It's just been a pleasure, and as you can see from already, I think the pages, and I was just looking at them just a little while ago. They just went public, and they're already at a combined 30-something thousand circles. So in anticipation of what's happening next week in Daytona, I think anybody who's a NASCAR fan that wants to have a level of interaction with these drivers on a first-hand basis, depending on their schedule and when their practices are and all that, this is the place.
So let's talk about the drivers for a second.
Sure.
In looking at the drivers' social interactions or their social channels, each driver, I see that maybe they've embraced one, maybe two channels.
Yeah.
So how has it been getting them to engage or to adopt another channel? Has that been a challenge?
I think initially it was like, oh boy, here's another thing to do, right? Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, it's actually been a joy. The Roush drivers, and I'm sure this is the same with other drivers too, but our Roush, the 5 we're working with, have just been fantastic. In fact, I'll give you a little story. 2 weeks ago, Kelly and I were up, and Kelly was doing some training, and I was helping her do some training with the Roush Fenway folks. And Trevor Bain, who won the Daytona 500 last year, had just flown in from Africa the night before. And so his time clock was all off and everything else. And he came in that morning into our training session to check it out and stuff, say hi. So I think that is what's going to come through in these hangouts and the interaction level here on Google Plus. That I followed him on Twitter and Facebook and a few other channels, and you never get that feeling, right? But here, I think that's going to come through loud and clear, and you're really going to get to know these guys like friends here on Google Plus.
Okay, on Google Plus. So, say Trevor. Let's take Trevor, because he's really embraced Twitter. I mean, he's just all over that.
Yeah.
And his following is huge.
Yep.
So, but then Carl Edwards, he's not on Twitter, but he is on Facebook.
Yep.
So why not just take the channel that they are already on and work on improving that? I mean, why Google Plus? Why start another channel? What's different about it?
Well, I think one of the components that you don't have on Twitter, right, is it's very limiting once you've been here on Google Plus, right? If you've never been on Google Plus before and all you know is Facebook and Twitter, well, then that may seem fine. But once you've been here and you've tasted the Google Plus platform and this kind of interaction, it changes everything. So while Trevor, for example, has a huge following on Twitter, and he does communicate, and he's very good at sharing things there. Here, it's going to be quite different, and we're looking for those guys to do a lot more here, and I think you're going to see that. They're going to be doing a lot more here than they will be on those other channels, simply because the instant feedback, the size of their channels, it's going to be, you guys will see, it's going to be pretty impressive.
Well, I think, too, Google Plus allows for, with Twitter, the drawback, you've got to, everything is not right there. You have to have another click for a video. You have to go somewhere else for the visual, the eye candy kind of thing. With Google, it's all right there. There is no leaving that application. It's just all right there in front of you. So it's so easy to use. But on that, I hesitate to say that Google Plus is new, but for ordinary, everyday people that are not so immersed in social media like you, I mean, how are you reaching out to let these I would say, less sophisticated social mediaites out there. How are you going to reach out to them and let them know that this is a new platform that they can engage with their favorite drivers and have a new experience?
Well, that is a little bit of a challenge. This is a new platform, and some people who do first jump on here immediately kind of associate it with something that they're more familiar with, like Twitter. Okay, how do I quickly communicate and get followers? Well, that doesn't really work here. And if you're used to Facebook, you're used to posting something, and I'll just come back in a few hours and maybe read it later. But here it's more organic and live. And so I think that what people are going to experience when they first come here is, if they're patient, and like in the press release, we put all the drivers, you can just click that link and circle just the driver that you like, or circle the Roush Fenway Racing circle, and that way you get all the news in one place. And that way, if you're a NASCAR fan and you're just new to, or you're a sporting fan in general, and you just are new to Google+, start there, right? Just put your toe in the water a little bit. Start there, learn, see how they interact, and you will branch out, and quickly you're going to find that this is a very addictive platform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I've been privy to your strategy on getting this out and people engaged, and how you're going to reach out to all these other channels. So when is it going to be in the mainstream? Well, I know the press release has just gone out, but when is it really going to kick in?
Good question. Very good question. Boy, you're a good host. You're really great. And it is weird being on the other side over here, getting questions asked. But yes, they are all. In fact, most of them are traveling. Pardon me. Most of them are traveling today. In fact, we were going to have a meeting with Trevor, but Trevor's on a plane with a bunch of the other folks that are flying on the Roush Fenway jets down to Daytona, or they're in transit. So there's not a lot going on, even though their pages are published right now. Mm-hmm. They're live and they're ready to go. We will start seeing some trickling of activity, but the big enchilada is going to be next Wednesday. That is when we're doing a special 5-driver hangout. So we're going to have all 5 drivers on there, and it's going to be huge. So I saw right there from Daytona.
I saw that you had posted that you and Kelly are going down for Speed Week. A little jealous, and then
I think she's already left. Yeah.
So going down for Speed Week. So tell me, the press release talked about the multi-driver hangout. Will this be the first hangout that a lot of these drivers have been on?
Let's see. They have done some welcome videos, and they've posted them on their profiles for everybody. They've been very helpful and cooperative in getting used to the training and everything. But as far as hangout, this will be their first group driver hangout.
How exciting!
It is. In fact, this is the first time you will see anything like this from any professional sport team. So we have to say, I have to give a big shout out to Google for their help. I have to give a big shout out to Roush Fenway Racing for making all of that work out. Daytona's been very helpful. NASCAR and Turner and so forth. Everybody has been super cooperative, because I think they see the potential of what when you put a strategy together and you build a platform like this and you train everybody and get them all on board as to what the goal is, and that is simply to change the fan engagement in a complete new and fresh way. it can do miracles. It can do wonderful things for the fans.
Okay, let's talk about that, the fan engagement for a minute. So the social media has really turned the rules for consumer engagement or consumer communication on its ears. So typically how fans have engaged with their drivers or their team is simply to go to the races.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just mayhem there. It's just very exciting. I know it's adrenaline rush and all that, but the integration of social media, how has that changed, and is that changed what necessitated this program that's been put together with Google?
Oh, you're spot on. I think all of us as fans, 5 years ago we would have been super excited to just sit in the stand and watch the cars go round and round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just all left turns, 180 miles an hour, and sit there for 4 hours, and we're happy. Today, and if you get the chance to go to any races, you see a whole new demographic of young fans. They're all on their mobile devices, and they want more. It's just not enough anymore. They want to see what's going on behind in the pit. If there's, they want live reports. They want to see what's going on in the pit. They want to see new angles, and they want to hear before and after in new ways. And kudos to NASCAR. They have done a good job in putting us inside the car during the race.
Mm-hmm.
But that race is only 4 hours, and a week is 164 hours. So there's another 160 hours of time that we could be interacting with these drivers, and they want to do it.
Right.
And Google Plus has come along and created a perfect opportunity for sports teams.
I can see that. Consumers, it's a 24-hour world now with social media. So it's like you either do this or, it's like you're dead in the water, basically. Business has changed.
Yep.
So do you see this? This isn't just a NASCAR phenomenon, obviously. This is cross-platform. This is all sporting industry as a whole. I mean, people are just as passionate about basketball and football. Not me, but I hear there's others. So it's cross-sport platform that this evolution will take place.
Oh, by far. In fact, recently we had here on Who Cares, we had Martin Beck from the Los Angeles Times, and he's the social media news, and he's the main guy there. And one of the things we got to talking about, and I think it was Jeff Zagas, who was regular here on the show with us, we were talking with him, and it was his first hangout. And we were talking about, he goes, wow, this is really cool to be able to just see people and interact unscripted and just live. This is so refreshing. And so we got to talking with him and said, well, why don't you guys at the Los Angeles Times, why don't you do some things? Because you have a media pass, for instance, to the Lakers games. I tell you what, I would love to see a hangout right there from the stadium from their Los Angeles Times reporter. I think that would be awesome. And he had never thought about it. So I think what Roush is doing, and we've been working on this with them for like 6 months now, so it's not just, hey, turn on Hangouts, and it's a go. And no, there's a lot of strategy behind this, a lot of scheduling. You have to even one of the things we found out with Roush is that you have to actually look at what the whole season is and find out where to schedule all this stuff in. And some stuff has to go. So you have to plan a lot, but you are exactly right. The rules have changed, and we're never going back.
It's been a Herculean effort so far. I mean, with one superstar, one big brand, this is an amazing feat. But you've got how many drivers?
We have 5.
5, and then the Roush Fenway brand itself.
Which is
huge. So kudos. So I know this is just technically publicly kicked off. So it's been not even 12 hours, maybe. I don't know that it's hit the...
If that, yeah.
If that. So have you, I know it's a little early, but have you seen any traction? What kind of traction has taken place so far?
We've kind of been giggling here in the office all morning because it has been overwhelming, and we knew that. We're over 35,000 circles now, so I mean they just keep clicking in, and more are asking for interviews from us. More press releases are going out, so we are expecting this as we get to next Wednesday. So we've got a whole another week before the big 5-driver hangout, and then that whole week kicks off. So we're expecting this to continue to roll downhill like a gigantic snowball.
So, okay, you 30,000, you're saying, circles.
35,000.
35,000. But maybe clarify from a base point of how many to begin with.
We had about 50 this morning.
Right. Okay.
So and that's what
flip the switch, and then it goes to 35,000.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and Mark Evans says Bloomberg has picked it up, so it's now on their news feed. And so we thank you, Mark. We're going to invite a few of you guys in here in just a couple more minutes after we cover some of a few more details. But yeah, and Amy, we were talking earlier that the beauty of this is not about who gets credit for all these circles, right? Who cares, right? The whole point of this is we're not trying to get the most Twitter followers like it's some kind of competition, or we're not trying to get whose fan page has the most likes. You know what? That we don't care. What this whole thing about, and that's what I love about what Roush is doing, is all they care about is fan engagement, changing it. That's it. And so for a professional sports team to try to do something this monumental, to me, it's just probably the most exciting project we've done to date.
So if it's not about the number of circles, what's the objective? What would Roush be happy? What is their objective?
To be more addictive than crack. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Is there's a disconnect on Twitter, there's a disconnect on Facebook, and here on Google Plus, and granted, the platforms may change as time goes by, but this kind of interaction where, for instance, if you were Carl Edwards, for me to be able to jump on here and just say, hey, Carl, hey, that blue thing there in the back, what is that? Do you exercise on that, or or whatever? Fans don't have that. Or if it's an anniversary and somebody got married on Carl Edwards, in Columbia, Missouri, where Carl lives, because they're just such a big fan, and Carl was to jump on, for example, and just say, hey, happy anniversary, you guys. I got to go, but I just wanted to say congratulations. Where do you get that? There is nowhere.
Google etiquette. What do you think fans will accept? I mean, obviously, this kickoff or the start of the NASCAR season, I mean, we're getting full swing. It's getting ready to they're going to be busy. So obviously fans, they're going to be posting, and they're going to want interaction. That's what it's all about, this engagement. Do you think fans, how do you think they react when say, Biffle has got to, someone needs to step in and help engage with them? I'm not saying that they ask him, but where is the line? Where is that okay?
Well, I think, like anything, we know that these guys they have a race to win, and they have practice times, and it'd be like a professional golfer like Tiger Woods. He has a practice round, so obviously he's not going to be on Google Plus during his practice round. Well, it's the same way with our drivers. They've got certain things that they have other requirements for, sponsors and other things. So what we've got to do is work their Google Plus stuff around all of that. Now, here's a few things that Roush has done, and this is all part of the strategy, is to make sure that they're set up with everything possible to just jump on Hangouts or to post photos, or, hey, I'm on the plane and here's what I'm having for lunch today. How about you? And, you just get kind of a, for instance, using Trevor Bayne again, I really think he's going to win the Daytona 500 again, back to back. I'd love that. But it's going to be cool to start seeing things percolating on his page, and as fans join more and more, these guys are going to be compelled more and more to interact more and more. So I think it's kind of a two-way street. Whereas the fans engage more with them, they're going to engage more with their fans, and there's a organic thing that happens that it's just kind of special to sit back and watch it. Fun stuff. Very.
So we're hitting the 30-minute mark. Is there some questions that have come in that you want to answer?
Yes. Would it be okay if I invited a couple of these guys in here that want to come in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let me invite a couple of these guys in. Mark, let's get these guys in here, and they can ask some questions. And so what else did you want to ask, Amy, while I get these guys in here with us?
Let's see, so how long are you going to be down in Daytona? For a week?
Well, the hangout is on Monday, or Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So we're going to get in there sometime early on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So we'll be in there early on Wednesday, and then we're going to organize the hangout, and then we're going to have Kelly and I are going to do a couple of hangouts with a few other special guests, but then we're going to do the big hangout there, and then we have a number of other activities that are going to be going on throughout the week. For example, that Saturday night there's a big hangout with Trevor Bayne. Trevor's that Saturday night champion. So on that Saturday night, we're going to do a on the eve of defending your crown type thing. Sunday morning we have Jack Roush, who's going to do a big thing since it's the 25th anniversary for Roush Fenway. And then on Monday we're doing another official one with Greg Biffle. Kind of a post wrap-up before they jump on the jet type thing. And those are the scheduled ones, so you'll have to stay tuned to the Roush pages and the drivers' pages. They've been equipped with every imaginable piece of equipment, more than NASA, I think. So it's going to be really, really cool. Wow.
Wouldn't it be something if Trevor won again?
Me and Robert were talking about that yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. So if he wins again and being the 25th anniversary year,
Unbelievable. And I will tell you this, if he wins again, there'll be sponsors lined up left and right to take care of that.
Yeah.
Because he's an awesome young man.
I read somewhere that
Jeff?
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff? Robert? How are you guys? You got some questions for Amy?
Robert, you want to go first?
Questions, guys, for Amy?
Okay, I do. So do you think that this is going to be like they're going to have their own YouTube channel and starting their own...
Can you turn your mic up a little bit, Jeff?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you think they're going to have their own YouTube channel by default because they're going to be doing the Hangouts and then just continue to kind of just have their own presence out there going forward like a TV show?
Yes. We talked about that this morning with Google, and all of them will be having they're all going to go to one YouTube channel. They've all been whitelisted, so they'll all have on air. So they'll all be able to hang out publicly and publish that, and Google's going to help move that all to one channel. so that it'll all be available like you were saying, like a TV show. So it's going to be. I tell you what, buckle up because this is pretty cool.
So I have a question for Tim. Tim, are you planning on taking some bodyguards with you down there? Because when the other teams see what you have done with Roush Fenway, they are going to stop at nothing to get to you and find out what's going on. Because I think you're going to. Well, I can't say what I think it's going to cause, but I think it's going to cause a storm.
You just come down too, Robert, because we're going to have a good time. I have Kelly, so that's about all I need. But I'm very excited to be there because I know that there's a lot of others that are going to be interested in this. But my complete focus right now is on Roush and my mission to 1 million. That's my goal. Is 1 million circles by Daytona, the day of Daytona. That's my only goal right now. Because frankly, you know what? We still have people in this industry. And you know this, Robert, Jeff, you know it, Amy, and I know it well, and that is that many people still don't believe that social media has any influence over others. You can't activate people. You can't. Okay, that's fine. Then let's do the March to 1 million. Get these guys on there, interacting with their fans, and then let that speak for itself. And I think it will. It'll resonate coast to coast.
Well, Matt just replied back to somebody over to a question over on his page when he posted the pit stop he was showing off his team last year, and he got some nice responses back pretty quickly. People were stopping by to say hello, and I think these guys are going to be surprised when they start engaging and they learn sort of the little bit of ins and outs that you're going to be able to teach them, Tim. I think they're going to really be pleased at the level and depth of interaction that they can get in this space.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll get a lot more bang for their buck too, because they can reach out to a lot of people en masse, and have that one-to-one feeling pretty easily.
And I'm sure there'll be no shortage of advice on Monday morning after the race.
And you know what? I think that's going to be the coolest thing, though, Robert, is that because I've watched some of the post-race stuff. And whenever they're talking about, Tony and Carl were bumper to bumper going in at the final piece, for 18 laps or whatever it was, is being able to talk one-on-one with them about how was that? What was the pit crew telling you? And them just organically telling us that stuff. It's going to be very, very cool.
Yeah, creating those little pieces and being able to talk to the guys directly. And I've seen a big change in this space because usually media is just push. And in this space you get normal people asking normal questions and you get conversations going back and forth. And the drivers, in this case, obviously the drivers, they get to start talking about what they're interested in and what they're thinking about. And then it becomes, you don't have to stuff it into 140 characters. You can have a conversation, you can record it, keep what you want, get rid of what you don't want, but you can really start to engage at a level and people can watch it. It's going to become a very, very interesting part of this show, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll have its own energy, and people will comment on it. It'll develop its own following, and all the metrics are already built right into it. So, you'll be able to see who's doing what and how many conversations are going on and how many hits and how many views and all that stuff is just built right in, and there'll be some immediate metrics for them to understand how their engagement's working.
They were talking last year about the guys sitting in their cars waiting to do their lap for time, and they were talking about the guys sitting in the car on their phone using Twitter, and I was laughing about that this morning, thinking about that because what's going to happen to the other teams when this guy's sitting in a hangout, chatting with his friends in video before he's got to hit the track? You just have an entirely different level of engagement.
Yeah, different feel to it, totally. Yeah.
Oh, completely. And the funny thing is I'm not going to say too much, but we were talking to a team last year about trying to do something with Twitter, and that was a stretch. But now, we've moved kind of beyond that with Google Plus, and I forget what team it was, but this week they were going to put follow us on Twitter on their car. Wow, that's cute. You know,
That's great.
so 2010. You know, that like you said, Robert and Jeff, the engagement level here, specifically in Hangouts. I mean, if all they did was use Hangouts, it's going to change the sport forever.
Well, I think and I think the thing is with the drivers is that they're going to have fun. They're going to be able to engage in a way that they haven't been able to in the past with fans. They're at a they're very comfortable and safe distance. You know what? And when they're sitting in a diner somewhere and they're bored in between the trip and they want to chat with somebody, they've got somebody they can reach out to. They'll meet people in this space that they'll become friends with. They'll probably, no doubt, I'm sure some Googlers will be going to the Watkins Glen race and a couple of the other races out on the West Coast, and I'm sure they'll be meeting up with some of those guys when they get out there. So,
and just think, all the other sports like you mentioned in your show before. I can see like the America's Cup or whatever, all that build up for an event that takes place. Engaging in the same kind of a medium to do that. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is, and I think that what we're going to see is we see the Google API. What they're doing with that. They've got, I was talking with somebody here yesterday, and they were talking about how that they're, playing with some of the listening and the modeling technologies for the API, and it's not quite ready yet, but it's, it's coming, and as soon as those things are released, we're going to see what we see now, guys. It's gonna completely explode.
Wait till you're allowed to embed it on your website.
Holy moly!
That's just going to make it, populate like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. What's Twitter again? Hey, Mark, welcome. Sorry about
Hey, guys.
He's getting you on.
Not a problem. Is my mic working?
You're working. You sound great. That's a nice mic. What kind of mic is that?
It's a, hey, guys, it's a Rode Podcaster.
Oh, boy, that's nice. Jeff's got a snowball, so.
On cue.
Look at that thing. That is
very nice.
From NASA. Hey, Mark, you're a NASCAR fan, right?
Sure.
So what do you think about all this Google Plus, all these drivers hanging out and the interaction? You think that's a good thing?
I'm getting feedback. I'm getting everybody's comments like in delay.
Okay. What do you think about Google Plus with the drivers?
Oh, you have the show on in the background.
Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah.
How do I have to hit it?
You got to disable the show.
Disable the show.
Disable it. Be right there.
Yeah, just pause it. Yeah.
Pause it.
Robert, tell us a NASCAR joke while we're waiting.
A NASCAR joke? I don't know if I know any NASCAR jokes.
You know?
NASCAR driver says it takes their...
Actually, I did. One of the guys over here in Google Plus were tagging some of the drivers today, and
now I got it.
And Matt. And the funny thing was there was a picture of Smoke from last year, and he was like looking over his over the seat. And so I tagged a message. I said, "Hey, Carlos, old Smoke looks a little nervous there this year, buddy," because the way he was looking out there. But what's one of the fun things about this space is that it's going to be fun to be pushing stuff back and forth between these guys. I haven't started fights between the Roush guys, but we'll probably start something sooner or later with those guys.
Yeah. We've got an email already on our way to you, buddy. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about what you think about NASCAR's space and this kind of an involvement. It's unique. It's new. There are no rules, so we're going to make them up. But what are your initial thoughts?
I agree with you. There are no rules, and one thing I love hearing, and you see it online all the time, especially these bloggers, they say that I'm a social media expert. There's no such thing. How can you be a social media expert when the rules are still being written? And I agree with Robert. You really need some security at Daytona. I'm telling you, these PR guys are going to they're going to be all over you. You're going to be the most popular guy on the beach.
Actually, hey, Mark, the way I describe it is I tell people I'm a social media idiot savant. It just depends on the day which one it is. So
there you go. I do have a question, though, is how you're going to leverage this new platform from the brand's perspective, to leverage the brand, because obviously it's a sponsor-driven sport. Without them, we don't have a sport.
Yeah, you're right on the money there. When it all comes down to it, it costs quite a bit to run those. It's $15,000 in tires per car per race. So I mean, when we talk about the financial commitment to running each driver times 5, there's a considerable amount of money that's needed to make this all go around. So, but what happens is we can't leverage it if we don't have it. So that's the one thing that I think that Roush is getting, is that we've got to make a commitment as a brand to engage with fans. Because now when we have the fan base there and it's an engaged, lockdown, loyal audience, now that's much more, and we can measure it like Robert and I have been talking about at great length. Now we can go to a sponsor and say, hey, here's 1 million circles that are highly activated customers, and they love us. So that's going to be much more compelling than saying, oh, I'm on Twitter.
Exactly, I agree.
Yeah, and there will be more impressions out there because it's all visual versus text-based. So that lands directly in how they do their marketing. So
I think Michael Dell really set the tone in this space early on. He did some hangouts early on and basically came in and chatted with people and made himself accessible. And he literally changed the idea of his brand to a large number of people in this space. But he did in groups of 8 or 10. But the resonance of that, what still continues today, is he started back then, and he hasn't been hanging out lately. I guess he's been busy making money or whatever he does. But the effect of that is continuing. And I was looking at today. I think is it Matt is sponsored by Best Buy.
Yeah.
So he had a snapshot in the garage, and I saw the Best Buy. Looking at the Best Buy cars there, and sent him a message chatting about something. I'm like, oh yeah, Best Buy. We'll go buy something. There's these great little impressions and adjacency to product. I think sponsors are going to start to get and understand that their brands become the face, or the people that put the face on their brands are the people that are really going to start to represent what their product's about. I think you're going to see a shift in the focus on this. I don't know how long it's going to take. I know that Roush is going to be about 3 races ahead of everybody else for the season when they get this on the ground, because I think the other teams, actually I'm certain the other teams are not in this space yet, or at least if they are, they certainly haven't worked it out. So I think they're going to be scrambling mid-season to catch up.
May I ask a question? Are you going to be placing like sponsorship logos on the, like an overlay pings on the video for this?
We've talked initially about some of those things, but it's just initially at this point, because what's happened as a brand for Roush is this is all really about them. They're putting forth all this effort and the time and of course the investment in rearranging the schedules of all their drivers to get them to, like for next Wednesday, to get all 5 drivers at Speed Week at Daytona 500 all together at once, and then to have ESPN involved. It's a big deal for them to be pulling all this together. So as we evolve, I think you will start seeing things like that, Jeff, where sponsors are allowed to have a little bit more integration. But I will tell you this, most sponsors are not on Google Plus yet.
Yeah. Well, so did you make up their brand page, because it looks nice? Yeah,
Yes, we made up all their pages. So thanks. Actually, that was Kelly's doing. Kelly Burnett. She's fantastic.
Yeah, she did a wonderful job. One thing I thought of in terms of how to utilize this and leverage this platform in this format is, like, I noticed it last year during the rainouts, or rain delays, I should say, on the network. That is a brand bonanza, potentially. If you can take that down air time, the drivers with this platform can just, if bandwidth is not an issue, of course, assuming they can get the necessary Wi-Fi and get the signal out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they can have a field day with Google Plus during a rain delay.
Yeah, they don't actually need to rely on Wi-Fi. They can buy some cellular modems. I mean, get some really equipment that can be remotely placed.
Tim will be
It's,
standing up at the grandstand.
There you go.
He'll be throwing a conifer dish down at the cars, going, "Okay, guys, you got signal yet?" He'll be tuning them in, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, but you know, there's those cellular packs that are great if there's 3G coverage. That they bound them together, and they're relatively inexpensive for a project of this size. So they don't need Wi-Fi at all.
Yep.
Yeah, we've the nice thing is that's again all part of the strategy, right? Is that's one of the pieces that we've already put in place since Sprint. It's the Sprint Cup. Obviously, Sprint MiFi, 4G MiFi is already in the bag. So we've got every base covered. And I tell you, I'm just ready to go, man. I'm ready to get in. I'm ready to get in the hauler and head to Daytona.
There's one other thing. They have these very tripped out. They're called Teradecks, and they're wireless cameras that you can put anywhere, and you can just you can put it on on anything, right? And it's basically an IP wireless thing that goes back to a router, and it's amazing where you can go with these things. And
A Kelly Cam, I love it.
a Kelly Cam, yeah, they're called Teradecks, and they're pretty cool. So.
Hey, Tim, just to give us a little insight of the 5 drivers that you sat down with, which one would you say is most on fire about this space?
You know exactly who is. Trevor Bain, by far. Trevor has a unique, well, I take that back. I'll say Trevor Bain, and then right under him is Greg Biffle.
Really, that's a surprise.
Yep. Biff, or Mr. Don't Blink, as we call him, he's extremely active and intrigued in this. So the training went really well with them. Google tied in on a hangout, and so they're all pretty stoked. I'm really looking forward to once they get landed down there in Daytona. And get some preliminary speed week check-in stuff and stuff set aside that this thing starts rolling next week. Really exciting.
Yeah, and how hard is the training? I mean, the Hangouts make it pretty damn simple, right? So
it's not complicated. You know what it is like Amy was talking about earlier, is when you first come over to this space from Facebook or Twitter, or if you're on some other crazy network, at first it's just weird, or you're just disoriented for a minute. But once you click around, it's very simple. It's elegant.
Navigating isn't too hard, but there's some things that you can learn the hard way in 6 months or in an hour or two if you find somebody that can point you in the right direction. And there's a couple of things about the space that, once you get sort of the lay of the land and how it works, and watching Matt start to respond to people in his stream, and then having people respond back to him. Getting those guys to learn that just to say, hey, thanks, or just to comment back in a simple way, they can get conversations rolling in their space and get a level of engagement. And what's going to be funny about this is, I think this year is going to be defined in NASCAR. There's going to be a couple of stories going on, but I think one of the major stories is going to be the guy that gets a hold of this space and understands it first and understands it the best is going to change the way people view it, because they're going to get an insight into the way it works. Last year there was a driver who was part-time in NASCAR, but he was very active in Facebook, talking about his journey, about what was going on, the struggles to get cars on the track and everything, and he had a phenomenal storyline going. I think any of the drivers that picked up on this and that are able to use it and talk about their daily life and answer some of those questions in between that we never get to see. Where do you go right after the race? Do you fly home? Do you how do you get to the next one? What do you do? What's your mind? There's so many things to fill in. I think that it's going to make this such an interesting space that you can't do in 140 characters.
Yeah, and